happy soaping. I am Anne-Marie from brambleberry.com, and I am here to show you our version of Lavender Haze. Yes, inspired by a very popular Taylor Swift song. It is made with our Better Than Castile Quick Mix, which is one of our oils that we make and blend up just so they're perfect for you, that has over 50% olive oil. So it's really gentle, really easy on the skin to use. And then this is also made with our Peaceful Lavender Fragrance Oil. And so you know how lavender sometimes gets that camphorous, herbally, kind of sharp medicinal note almost? This does not. Now we call it Peaceful Lavender. I kind of think it's more like a lavender cashmere almost. There's definitely some warmer, kind of muskier notes in it. There's a little bit of eucalyptus, a little bit of florals in there, but it definitely says lavender, just very warm and comforting lavender. In cold process soap, it acts really well, which is how we are able to get this 4-color drop swirl. If you've never done cold process soap before, a drop swirl is a really great way to get into swirling because it doesn't require a ton of kind of precision. Because it's a drop swirl, each and every single bar is going to look different, which I love. We're using Brambleberry's 10-inch silicone loaf mold, so they're easy to unmold. And finally, the tops of each of these has a little bit of Brambleberry's Super Sparkle or Ultra Sparkle. This one's called our Lilac Mirage, and we sprinkled it all on the top so you can see on the very top that this has a beautiful shimmer and sheen, and it's just that nice finishing touch. Tiny little bit of lavender on the side just to give us that extra little spark of interest, and there we go. And now I'm going to suit up for safety. If you've never made soap before, you're going to want to rewind back to our beginner soap making series right here on this channel, or read any of my 3 books on soap making, so that way you know all about safety. First and foremost of which is that we're going to do goggles, gloves, kids and animals in another room, and a well-ventilated area, long sleeve, long pants, and closed-toed shoes. So I've got my lye water already mixed up. I did put optional sodium lactate in here so that the soap will harden just a little bit faster. It's totally optional. I'm doing my traditional kind of 5% super fat. And since I'm using a quick mix, it means I don't have to measure out individual oils. So that's definitely a time saving. Since we're doing 4 colors and we're doing a drop swirl, I'm just going to really lightly emulsify this before splitting this into 4 even containers. Okay, this is really, I mean, I wouldn't even call this a light trace. This is just barely emulsified. And now, just going to eyeball this and put these into the Brambleberry Easy Pour containers. So one of these is about 500, and then the rest I'm going to do evenly. So here we go, 500, and that's going to be the main kind of deep purple color, so that way we get our good contrast. And then the rest we're just going to do evenly. So I'm just going to eyeball them, and those end up being our contrast colors. So my big container is getting the 1 full tablespoon of the Lavender Mica that I have pre-mixed up already in a little bit of lightweight oil. So then we're doing 1 tablespoon of the pre-mixed titanium dioxide and just a little bit more of the lavender. This gives it just a tiny little bit of purple, but not much. This next one is a mixture of lavender and raspberry. So it's 1 teaspoon lavender pre-mixed and 1 teaspoon raspberry pre-mixed. That's going to be so bright and gorgeous. And then here we're going to go with 2 teaspoons of the raspberry and 2 teaspoons of the Ultramarine blue oxide. Because what we're going for here is that dark kind of purple contrast color. So this will be gorgeous in contrast. And now I'm going to mix from lightest to darkest. So mixing with my white, mixing with my beautiful lighter purple color, mixing our pinky pink, and then finally going to mix that darker kind of purpley blue. Gorgeous, gorgeous. And finally we're going to have to we get to do fragrance. So I'm taking my entire bottle of Peaceful Lavender. I'm just going to split it into basically 4 containers. And more of it goes in the big one. And all done. And then hit it. And I'm going to go this time darkest to lightest. And kind of making sure that I give these a really quick tap so I get all of the color off. And now this is at a really thin trace. This would be considered, yeah, this is thin trace, not even medium trace. I can't even see faint trailings on the surface, but I know that this is traced because at this point it's not separating. It's staying together really well and the texture is very even. So to get started, since I have more of this purple, I'm gonna do purple for the bottom kind of, and then I'm gonna start with the drop swirl. And the way the drop swirl works is you just kind of go up and down kind of in contrasting directions and kind of plops, and start from higher and lower. And then that way, because you're starting from higher and lower, you end up getting a different bar for each one. And remember, we do have more of this lighter purple. So we're just gonna pour, pour, pour. And it's so tempting to over pour and over stir. Do not do that. And that's why this is called the drop swirl, because you are literally dropping in from different layers, different textures and areas to get fantastically varied designs. So now we're pretty much done, and I'm gonna want my top to look a little bit more swirly. So I'm going to start kind of with a normal looking swirl for our top. And because remember, I'm going to have enough contrast to put that UltraSparkle Mica on and really give it something to work with. So you can see I'm starting to pour in lighter lines. Ooh. And we have a lot of this blue, which is fantastic because then we'll get really good contrast once we have our mica in there. And lighter line. This is one of the reasons I love the easy pour containers, because they're just so fantastic to work with for this kind of detail work. And finally with our pink, and then we're going to go in with our UltraSparkle Mica. So I'm just going to use a dropper to mix and do a couple lines. I'm going to, so lines. And it's staying nice on the surface. And this is just going to give these bars just a beautiful shimmery pop. So this is just the Brambleberry UltraSparkle Mica, and it is in a little bit of oil. And what happens is that the oil just gets absorbed right back into the bar, but leaves our beautiful mica at the surface. And this is, again, this is just our carrier kind of, the oil is just a carrier for the shimmer mica. And then I'm going to be doing lavender buds on this side, so I don't really need it as much on that side. So now we have this. Then I'm just going to use a chopstick to swirl. I probably could use this as well. So now I'm just going to do a traditional linear swirl, which is here. So beautiful. The linear swirl is a classic. And since this fragrance is behaving really well, we have a lot of time. You can absolutely see that mica just shimmering in the wet soap. And what's really nice about the size of this mica, the particle size, is that it will absolutely still shimmer after the bar gets hard, because it is just sitting on the surface of the soap. The interesting thing about these particular micas is they don't so much color as they provide the shine when the light reflects and refracts off of them. I'll do some lavender buds on the side that didn't have nearly as much of the swirl and the shimmer going on with it. It's got a lot of swirl, didn't have so much shimmer. And that will provide a little bit of interest. And then we're just going to toss this onto a heat pad to kind of help the colors really pop. And this will be ready to pop out in 1 to 3 days. All right, made this soap a few days ago. I cannot wait to see what this looks like. This UltraSparkle on top is giving all the sparkle vibes. And here we go with our Lavender Haze Soap. Just makes me want to sing. I feel. Ooh. Yay! All right, so a couple things going on. One, the hot pink is really given, but also two, our lavender buds are dragging down. So I'm going to flip this over on the side so that the next bar I cut doesn't have the lavender buds dragging down. And then I'm just going to fix that right there. There you go. So beautiful. Lavender buds now go on the side. And we're going to cut again. So keep that in mind, especially if you're using like our 12 bar cutter or one of those bigger cutters, make sure that lavender is on the side so you don't get the lavender dragging down. Wow. This is so gorgeous. I love how the drop swirl, no two bars are ever alike. And it's pretty easy to make a great looking design so long as your colors are really contrasting. It's one of the things I like about this particular project. This lavender haze is definitely lavender hazy with fantastic contrasting colors. So now these bars are ready to go on their curing and drying rack for 4 to 6 weeks. And that way they have optimal amounts of time to age, harden, and get extra mild in their use when you're getting ready to use them. And then they're ready to give away, sell, or use yourself. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up below. Hashtag it Bramble on anytime you make this project or anything else that you want me or anybody at Brambleberry or just our community of artisans to see and experience and get inspired by. Until next time, thanks so much for watching. Happy soaping. Look, I made a triangle bar of soap.